Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am here with Sheriff Jason Mikesell, and of course Peaches had to, she had to be in the video. But the reason why I wanted to record a video today is Sheriff Mikesell is running for governor, and I think that he is incredibly qualified. I gotta say, I was really impressed with how you handled the gun bills when you came up to the Capitol and you were testifying specifically about SB 25003, which is just a horrible bill. And if you guys have been following me on my YouTube channel, you guys know how horrific that bill is. But you were incredibly outspoken, and I thought that you made some excellent points. And that was the first thing that grabbed my attention. And I think after that, I contacted you on social media, and I was like, I want to do a video with you.
Yeah, I was. It's been really nice to meet you, Ava, and actually get to know a lot of people in Colorado they're really fighting the same battle as we are.
Yeah.
And 003 that's a nasty bill, and it's still a nasty bill, and I don't know where it goes here in the short term, but I think we're gonna have to deal with it for a while. But here's the thing about going and testifying on that bill. I met so many people that I didn't know were out there, like yourself and others, and just really that whole underground movement of podcast and really how big it is and really what people are doing. And I'm so happy and pleased to actually get to sit down with you.
Yeah, so. I'm happy too as well. And you also had me on your, your channel for Teller County, which was greatly appreciated. So I want to just kind of dive into things as to, for one, why did you decide to run for governor?
I think for me, it was a fact that I have not seen a really good candidate run for governor. And here's what I mean by that. There's plenty of good people and whatnot. But what I saw was that sometimes the social agendas get mixed in to really what the issues are. Yeah. And I was tired of hearing about those things. And I wanted to hear someone say, we're looking at energy, we're looking at the 2A rights, we're looking at all those, but really understand what they mean, right? I got tired of candidates that talked about 2A and gun rights, but they don't have a gun. Or they'll talk about, well, I have a gun. Well, this has been a gun culture for me, right? As a sheriff, and then also as an instructor, and then a trainer for a lot of different people for multiple years. It means something to me that my kids get to have their 2A rights and their grandkids get their 2A rights, because it came from my grandfather. I have shotguns that were passed down from 3 generations ago. So I think to me it was important. The second piece is when I talk to people about running for a governor, it seems to me people think that leadership starts when they put on the governorship or when they put on the candidate hat. And I'll tell you, I believe it starts in the home before you even run, right? You have to become a leader before you walk out the door every morning. And that's something that you are doing. So I've worked fires, floods, mine rescues, and you make those hard decisions on what you do. I was a SWAT team commander for multiple years. Now, that doesn't mean that correlates to a governorship, but it does correlate to leadership. Yeah. And I think then as you look at a governorship, you want somebody that's going to lead from the front. I'm really irritated that we have a governor now that won't even talk about what he's going to do with this gun bill. He's almost in hiding over it. Yeah,
he's posting about like the Rockies and just the stuff that I'm like, nobody cares right now. We're all, all of this, not just the gun bills, but there's just some of these horrific bills that are sitting on his desk right now. People want to know, are you going to veto it? Are you going to let it sit on your desk for 10 days and then it automatically becomes law? Or are you, going to take some responsibility, I guess, and sign it? But a lot of these bills, he's deciding that he's not even going to sign it, and he's just going to passively let it become law, which is really frustrating. And I couldn't agree more. And it's also, I don't know about you, but since I've been in Colorado, I was born and raised here, this is not the Colorado that I remember. Crime is at an all-time high. We went from being one of the, the top 5 states to live in, to now it's at the very bottom of the barrel. It is either 3rd or 4th highest rated in the United States for crime. I don't know about you, but anybody with any common sense would not want, they wouldn't want to live here, but they would also want change. Clearly what we're doing right now is not working, and it is not the gun bills. It's not the guns. They've passed over 20 anti-gun bills since 2019, and yet crime just continues to skyrocket. So we need change. We need somebody else who is going to bring Colorado back to what it was.
when I think that's a plan, right? You got to have a plan in place before you even go. And here's the thing I know about Colorado, because you're right. 8 years ago, we were one of the lowest crime rates in the United States.
Yeah.
Today, you're sitting in the third most violent crime states in the United States. How do we get there? Well, I can tell you exactly how, because we've been watching. It's been this slow death for us in Colorado over the last 8 years, is that there's these progressive laws that go into place, and it's reducing Class 5 and Class 6 felonies. And there's a bill now where they want to take Class 6, Class 5 felonies and release you from prison immediately upon. They want to do away with your parole boards and make it automatic parole, which means as soon as I'm convicted of something, I go in, they're going to process me in, and I get released. Is that how this is going to work? And this is for rapes, sex offenders, gun violence too, to some degree, all these different types of things. So all of a sudden, we've become the centerpiece to a nation that we are testing how bad you can create laws to soften them to where everybody's at risk. And here's the biggest problem. The state of Colorado is $1.3 billion in the hole, right, going into this cycle. They're going to shut down more prisons in the attempt to say they've not lost as much money, because it costs money. But what they don't understand is that $1.3 billion that Colorado is already in debt, you're now pushing over to counties and cities to deal with, because now it's prosecution on people that should be in prison, and those costs are going through the roof. So it's really just putting it back on counties to pay for, so we can say the state doesn't have those issues. So the parole issues of not taking somebody, putting them back in prison or back on parole when they've done something wrong. So what we're really seeing is the disrespect for all law enforcement and then the judicial system throughout Colorado. And how do we deal with that? We've got to get tougher on crime, and we have to hold people accountable for what they've done, or it's going to get worse.
Yeah, absolutely. So running for governor, I'd imagine it is no easy task at all. And I mean, even myself, since I've gotten involved in politics every day, I ask myself, why did I take this route? But it's one of those things, I firmly believe that if you want to see change, you have to be the change. And I believe that that's what you're doing. And you know, and like you said, not to say that there's bad people running, but as well, I've looked at the candidates, and it's just like, a lot of the people, they've already run before, they've lost. So why would we have them run again if they weren't successful the first time? I mean, that's almost the definition of crazy. And so I'm like, we need new people. We need somebody else whose heart's in it, who really wants to make a difference. And I see that with you. But I think, I mean, I know that you're up against people with deep pockets, unfortunately, Democrats especially. The reason why they've been very successful in winning a lot of these campaigns is because they have Soros, Bloomberg, all of these funds backing them. And we're not talking about just a few $100,000. We're talking about millions.
Millions, yeah.
And it's disgusting. So, I mean, it's not going to be easy. But I think that you have, I mean, I think a lot of people are looking for change, and I think that you have a really good chance of winning.
I do too, and I'll be quite honest. 2 days after we announced the campaign, we were flooded with volunteers all over the state. I think I had a list of 120 volunteers within less than 24 hours.
Wow.
Throughout Colorado. We have funding mechanisms being stood up all over the state now. Here's the thing. I've also been a business guy, so I understand how to scale large companies. I also understand, my wife and I own small businesses now because we want to support our community. Because I think small business is the blood of Colorado, and that's so much of that's being just depleted now. But here's the other side. I think you scale a campaign just like you scale a business. And I don't have to have as much as what the Democrats have, because I think common sense messaging makes a difference, right? If I'm just going to, and we just saw it in the last election, where you had a Kamala that had raised how much money and put billions into something and then lost atrociously. And I think because it was common sense messaging. And I think that's true in Colorado too. I think finally voters have had enough. And I think truly we do need donations. We're pushing forward on that every day. But I will tell you, everywhere I talk, Democrats, Independents, Republicans, all are tired of a party that's just running away with the state of Colorado, because that's really what's happening. Is you're dealing with what we call a Denver legislature, because it's not legislation outside of Denver. It's all Denver legislation, and it's party line only. And do you really want to be known as the party that allows sex offenders to get loose and not following through with things. I hate to even say that kind of stuff because it's just an affront to people. But look, Pueblo Democrats.
Yeah.
Pueblo didn't want 003. They're making normal decisions. And I think in Denver, it's the same way. You have normal decision-making people, but then you have a fringe that really is controlling the legislative body right now that's pushing a lot of really bad bills that's costing our children and the next generations a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think I will win, and I believe I will win, or I wouldn't even have done this. I'm a horrible loser, right?
Yeah.
I hate losing. So when I run something or I do something, it's because I believe I can, and I'm going to get everything I got. And I think Colorado wants to give it everything they got too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So just real quick, while we talk about donations, if anybody wants to make a donation, where can they go?
So they can go right to my website. It's mikesell4gov.com. You can go through our Facebook page. It'll tell you where to go, and that's Mikesell4gov. So just go to the page. You can make a donation. You can sign up to assist. You can look at all the issues because I want people to be really understanding. I'm being very transparent of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Try to find a candidate that'll actually talk about those things.
Exactly. So just real quick, I want to highlight just some of the things that you do want to work on, because as much as I'm like, cool, he's pro 2A, I mean, there's obviously a lot of other issues than just having our Second Amendment rights.
Absolutely.
And so what are some of those issues that you want to focus on?
Well, I think there's several, and one of them is our water issues for Colorado. Mm-hmm. We have a water shortage, and we're going in now to a fire season that's going to be very high. We don't have the snow melt that we normally would because we don't have the snowpack. That's dangerous for Colorado. Mm-hmm. The other piece too is energy. Right now, the federal government says that within 5 years, we're going to have a destabilized energy grid in Colorado. We're shutting down coal production. We're shutting down coal plants. We have an energy alternative that is wind and solar, but the problem is that we don't have a place to put this stuff. Mm-hmm. Wind and solar is great, but I think you have to combine it with new, clean nuclear energy systems that are coming out. I mean, they really are good. Yeah. Along with coal and all those different things, and we got to bring back oil and gas to Colorado. You can't have an energy grid without having all of them. It's just not viable yet. And as my attorneys always tell me, it's not ripe, right? Yeah. It's just not ready.
And I heard that, so you mentioned nuclear energy. I've heard that actually is very appealing to younger generations as well. Yeah. And I think that that's important to get is, the younger voters out there and get somebody, that's backing what they believe in and what they want to support. And I think that that's kind of hitting the nail on the head. What other issues do you want to resolve?
I think right now too, an immigration issue, right? Mm-hmm. Not so much illegal immigration or undocumented folks. Really, I think you have to deal with the criminals. Yeah. I really think that we don't have time to pay for criminals to be here in this country, to continue committing crimes on Colorado citizens. I think that's got to come to an end. We can't pay $8,000 per criminal to sit in our jails, do things here in Colorado. That's a big issue. The other things too is that we've got to deal with a lot of our force mitigations and how to drive down home costs in this state. Yes. Roads are another big one. So how to drive down home costs in the state, we have got to stop regulating out of Denver. Mm-hmm. We need to return it back to local control so people can afford to build houses again. Because what's happened is Denver's legislated all of these codes now that we are having to come to through rural Colorado, and places can't build. Contractors know. The price when I was building homes, because I did some of that too, a lumber pack was $35,000 for a 1,200 square foot home. That same lumber pack now, where you buy lumber for, it's close to $130,000. Wow, that's an astronomical jump, and really and as you do price per square foot, it's just gone absolutely nuts. Mm-hmm. So how do we drive that down? We've got to lower those things. We have a forest that needs mitigation, but we don't have lumber mills in this state that can do commercialized lumber. We have a lot of rough cut locations, but what about giving grants to these folks to rebuild to where they can retool so they can do those things? And create domestically driven lumber instead of outside sourcing so much. And then really too on all those issues of driving down those costs, we've got to get our roads in place and not have to pay fees every time, because your tax dollars are paying for roads that are horrible in this state. Mm-hmm. And really your tax dollars need to go to rural roads too, and all the roads in Colorado, because if you leave another state and you drive into Colorado, you're going to pay $1 more per gallon for fuel because all of our taxes. Well, where is it going other than I-25 and I-70 corridors? I think that's a big issue for Coloradoans to really understand. and then I got to pay a fee on top of it just driving a lane that should have been just
know.
to widen a highway.
I know. Don't get me started on that. Every time I drive up to the Capitol, take I-25 to Denver, it's just like we have all this congestion, and then you have this lane that's just completely clear, but you got to pay to play, and it's just that shouldn't have been the case. So I absolutely agree. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to tell listeners other than I'm going to have you, again, say your website so that you can get those donations because, I know it's probably hard to ask for money, but it's like that's what we're up against. And if you want to have a successful campaign, all of this stuff is going to cost a lot of money.
Ava, you're right. I hate asking for money. I hate it. It's not something I'd ever want to do. But in this circumstance, there's no other way to do it, right? Yeah. Unless you want to self-fund $23 million or so. It's just that's not doable. And here's the thing. I do have a event this weekend. So it's Saturday between 2 and 4. It'll be in Woodland Park, Colorado. At the 110 Reserve. You can find the information on my website, but you're going to be there as a guest speaker.
I will.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
So please come out and join us and hear from some of the other guest speakers. It'll be a pretty amazing lineup. And go to our website. So it's mikesell4gov.com.
All right, perfect. All right, and then also just one last thing. Follow you on social media as well, because that's also a huge help. And if they want to keep up to date with all the other stuff that you're working on, so what are your social media handles?
So I'm not even sure what my social media handles are.
Is it okay? How about this? Is it on your website?
It is. All of them are on my website. So.
All right, so perfect. So if nothing else, like as they say, if you don't have the time, donate money. If you don't have the money, donate time. If you don't have either, always share. Sharing, especially when it seems like social media is constantly shadow banning a lot of the stuff. But definitely help get that word out, and then also follow, all of that support on social media. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ava.
Looking forward to spending more time with you this weekend, and definitely, guys, I will be there if you are around this weekend. What is the Saturday? All these days are blending. Let's see. So today is. What is it?
It's the 12th.
The 12th, okay.
Saturday the 12th.
All right, so the 12th, and it takes place in Woodland Park. Thanks
Thank
again.
You, Ava.
I appreciate it.